Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 3 of this Best of 3 series between Navi and EG. And this is, of course, Game 3. The links to Game 1 and Game 2 will be in the bottom left-hand corner of in a bright red font. Well, not really a font, I guess it's a black font technically outlined by a red border, but I think you get what I mean. But yeah, game one, Navi, they picked up a really weird lineup. It was quite powerful, but it just could not swing match up to EG's turtling prowess. It could never break EG's base, and EG just turtled their way to victory. Meanwhile, in game two, EG tried an AA pick. Let me just say, it did not work out very well, and I don't think AA is really that strong of a mid-solo hero. And Navi was just able to get a lot of momentum going. Spectre got ridiculously farmed, and EG just couldn't handle the pressure that Navi was applying, so that game was relatively one-sided. But now we are in Game 3, the Americans versus Navi in this Raidcall Dota 2 League season match. And after this game, I will be casting more recent matches from this turn. I know this match is a bit dated at the set, but this series has been pretty entertaining, and hopefully this will be an entertaining Game 3, as EG will secure themselves the Darkseer with their opening choice. Meanwhile, Navi, Gyrocopter, and Chen have currently been removed, so I'm not too sure what they're going to go for. Again, they usually like to pick up their carry with their first couple picks rather than saving for their last choice, but they could go for something else. I don't know. Dendi is a very versatile mid player, and it's not really common to bin out mid heroes with your first barrage of bans, so that's why mid heroes are usually secured in the later rounds of picks, since, I mean, a lot of mids can potentially bottle crow, and a lot of mids do have an impact. You know, Navi gonna take some of their time. Right now, just judging by Navi's lineup, they're probably gonna get themselves support since they like to do that. They might get themselves something like an Enchantress if they want to jungle with Puppy, or they could go for an offlaner for Funnick, whether it be something like a Nature's Prophet. And that could be very useful, as EG will try to get rid of the Nature's Prophet, I've got to imagine, in the second round of bans, since I'm sure they don't really necessarily want to play against Nature's Prophet if they have to, because the Nature's Prophet, as you all know, is just incredibly annoying to deal with. And even though Darkseer does beat Nature's Prophet in a laning situation, in mid-game, Nature's Prophet can just really annoy the heck out of the other team. So I think this will probably be a Nature's Prophet or a Lone Druid choice for Navi, or they could potentially get themselves a Lifestealer for Havost. So Navi really has a lot of options here, although a lot of their heroes have been taken from the pool with those first two bans. So I'm not too sure what Navi will actually go for. I guess we're going to find out very soon, as they're taking quite a bit of time to mull over what they should actually go for with this choice. I'm pretty sure in the previous games Lifestealer was banned out. I'm not too sure, my memory is a little bit foggy, but I've got to imagine one of these teams will secure Lifestealer with one of their first two picks. But Navi gonna get the jungler in the form of Enchantress and gonna get Rubik for the support for Kuroki. So now they have a very versatile support, and also Rubik does sort of dissuade you from picking up some very teamfight heavy heroes, whether it be something like a Jakiro or even something like a Enigma, since Black Hole will always be stolen. And meanwhile, Navi gonna get a trademark jungler for Puppy. Seems like they're not really giving away too much with their draft, since they can look to apply a bit of early game pressure with Enchantress, but she does scale pretty well and can dish out a fair amount of offensive firepower in the mid stages of the game. And you all know Kuroki's Rubik is one of the best in the West, if not the best in the West. He just managed to get very clutch spell steals off. And the Darkseer player, who will most likely be Bambo, gonna have to watch out his spellcasting usage, because pretty much all of Darkseer's spells are very useful when they are stolen. So we're going to have to see if Darkseer can hide his spells adequately. And we're going to have to see if EG will look to ban out offlane heroes with their next barrage of bans, since Navi have not yet secured their offlane. And Navi, I've got to imagine this will be a defense challenge. Enchantress can potentially offensive jungle, but if Enchantress does get shut down, it's really difficult for her to get back up, because she's pretty squishy. She doesn't really scale that well in the early phases of the game when nukes become more and more powerful. She wants to get some sort of items and wants to make a little bit of money so she can actually get a little bit tankier and then have enough HP to get herself back into contention in the mid game. So I've got to imagine Navi will go with the defensive giant. Again, Rubik is also not the best offensive support, and especially when he's going to be in the dual lane for most of the time.
Navi's turn to ban.
EG gonna secure himself the Venomancer, so I guess we're seeing a rise in Venomancer play recently, at least in these past few games. This used to be EG's go-to support along with Keeper of the Light for betas, I think. And Venomancer is a bit more of an aggressive hero. He has the Gale going in on the middle lane, and keep in mind that Gale does slow down heroes by an immense amount. 50% at level 1 is just an incredible amount. Unfortunately for Venomancer, he can no longer cast Gale twice at level 1 without clearing it up. And since he doesn't have the best range, he can potentially be harassed out quite effectively. But Plague Wards will always remain annoying to deal with, and Venomancer, I mean, pretty much all he needs to do in his team fight is drop the ultimate, and then he can say, well, I did my job. And with the Darkseer Vacuum in place, along with Ion Shell, that Venomancer ultimate could potentially do a lot of work. So EG, the Venomancer choice, seems like they will have a roaming presence, but EG, I think more often than not, do like to run defensive challenges, and I don't think they'll try to challenge Enchantress in her own jungle.
EG's turn to ban.
You know, EG gonna ban the Naga Siren themselves, so don't want to get that cheesy Naga Siren Darkseer ultimate team fight set up. You know, now we get some nice bans. Alright, you pick up the Darkseer, well, say goodbye to your Jakiro next assassin, so you no longer get those really easy to land AoE stuns that can potentially lock us in place for a huge amount of time, especially before he picks up a dagger. And you know, EG will get rid of the Bounty Hunter, recognizing that it is one of Funnick's go-to offlane heroes. But I don't know if Navi would have secured themselves the Bounty Hunter in this game. I guess we'll find out very shortly, but I'm a bit surprised Nature's Prophet is still left in the pool, and EG did not decide to ban it out. And I guess they just didn't want to play the Naga Siren, and they don't want to go up against the Naga Siren themselves, since Venomancer, of course, his ultimate doesn't do lethal damage, so if Venomancer uses the ultimate, then you can just Naga Siren the ultimate out. If you're in a bad position, just get out and look to re-engage a little bit later.
Reserve time.
But yeah, right now Navi, they need their mid, they need their carry, and they need their offlaner, since I've got to imagine Navi will be going with a defensive tri-lane. And I've seen some questions in the comments. I do read the comments. I mean, I don't always reply to all of them, but I do try to read, at least I think I read 80% of the comments that are put on my videos, because I'm not really that big yet. But I see some questions. Why do people always go for defensive challenge? Well, if you run an aggressive challenge, you're putting yourself in a lot more of a risky situation, because the mid lane could potentially gank off your Tron very easily, since he will be able to wrap around and get into a good flanking position, so you've got to watch out for that. Furthermore, your supports are going to be pretty underleveled if you cannot contest the pulls, which is going to be very annoying in general. And if your supports get underleveled, then your tri-lane will just fall apart in the early stages of the mid game. And if you don't manage to get a couple kills, and if you don't manage to shut down the enemy team's carry, then overall the other team will just have a low advantage, and will be able to take control once mid lane does rotate in. So that's why offensive challenges aren't usually run too often, unless you have some really aggressive picks like Visage, like Shadow Demon, heroes of that nature. But meanwhile, both teams going to secure their mid heroes. Navi securing themselves the puck. You know, each immediately responding with Queen of Pain, and Navi gonna get himself, or gonna get the anti-mage for Havos. So it seems like they want to split push a bit harder. Bit surprised that EG did decide to go for co-op in this game. I think TA might have been a more suitable option, but maybe they want to have a bit of burst damage on their side, since right now they are lacking a bit in terms of burst, and Queen of Pain can build into a fast orchid. Keep in mind, Queen of Pain was of course picked up before the anti-mage was chosen. But usually in the middle lane, Puck can do a decent job against co-op. I mean, you can phase shift a lot of Shadow Strike harassment if you time it correctly, although since this is an intercontinental ping issue, that might not be as easy as I'm making out to be. But in general, Puck is seen to have the advantage once she hits level 6, since Queen of Pain can't really do anything in the coil, because if she breaks it, then she'll just be stunned and take an additional amount of damage. You know, Sonic Wave, not really as reliable up against the likes of Puck, who can phase shift and orb out of the way if the Sonic Wave does come through. So that's generally the reason why Puck is seen to have a bit of the laning advantage, at least at level 6. But in the other levels, it does come down to player skill. And you've got to favor Dendy, since Puck is one of his go-to heroes, but I'm sure Demon will do a stand-up job on the middle lane with Queen of Pain. But, I mean, Puppy will just pull Dendy up relentlessly, so we're going to have to see if EG responds similarly. As EG going to get themselves Faceless Void. EG is one of the few teams that still likes to run Faceless Void, what I do believe is an underrated carry, but, I mean, we have seen his failings in the past, since Void does take a while to build up, but EG has a pretty defensive lineup that I think they can build up the Void to. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about for EG at the moment is you have one stun, which is the Chronosphere. Outside of that, you have nothing to lock down the anti-mage until Queen of Pain gets a Hex or an Orchid, until Darkseer gets a Hex or an Orchid. I mean, you do have Chronosphere, but Rubik will always be able to steal the Chronosphere, even though Void can walk through it very easily.
5 seconds remaining.
So how will you be able to catch the puck? I'm not sure how you'll be able to catch the anti-mage without Chronosphere. I'm not sure either. So maybe EG just didn't really plan on dealing with the anti-mage. They just want to go for late game themselves, so expect both teams to play a bit defensively. Navi can play a bit more aggressively, since they do have an Enchantress, and if she can manage to get a sizable army of creeps in the early game, she can potentially pressure the Void out of the lane. But in terms of the late game team fight scenario, I think you gotta favor the team with the Darkseer and the Void combination in a 5v5 engagement, since Chronosphere into Vacuum Wall is just so incredibly powerful. And EG gonna get rid of the Nature's Prophet since they do have their offlane hero, and Navi has yet to secure their own offlane. They're gonna secure the Lich for themselves, gonna get a bit of extra burst damage on their side. And also this is a pretty strong counter pick against Void. It's not really a true counter, but it's gonna make Anti-Mage a bit more difficult to bring down since the Anti-Mage does have some pretty solid base armor because he is an agility hero and he does have decent agility growth. And also, since Void is a melee hero, he will get slowed down through the frost armor effect, and that will really reduce his DPS output if he is the one going to work on the heroes of Navi. So I like this Lich pick quite a bit. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about is that Darkseer will inevitably pick up a pipe as well as a mecha, and that will greatly reduce the impact the Lich will have, as Treant going to be the last pick, and that means, you know, this game is at least a week old. Treant was neither banned, and he was picked up with the last pick, so, you know, this game is a little bit old, but Tree gonna be the last choice, gonna allow EG to play very defensively in the early game, but I think both teams will try to duke their way to the late stages of the game since I don't think EG really have a very aggressive lineup at all, especially not one that can deal with the Anti-Mage since, again, they have now 2 stuns, which is Overgrowth as well as a Chronosphere, and Chronosphere is pretty good in terms of shutting down the Anti-Mage, but it does have a long cooldown to consider. Y'all Navi, I mean, they have heroes that can scale pretty well. Treant Protector should allow EG to survive any ganks, and I think this Treant pick was also picked up to protect the Queen of Pain in the middle lane, just give him a bit of extra insurance, since I'm pretty sure EG does know that Puppey likes to pull Dendi a ridiculous amount of regeneration. And so they're going to have the Living Armor to protect Demon a little bit more, and with this Living Armor, Demon should be able to take a pretty good advantage once Dendi does burn through his regeneration, since Living Armor of course mitigates the harassment by such a great deal, especially once you get that level 3 up and you get that level 2 Living Armor online. But interesting, the players and teams on the side of EG, we are going to have Fear playing the Treant Protector. Jo is going to be playing the Faceless Void. Looks like he was pulled a bit, as he was pulled a Salve as well as a set of Tangos. Will EG actually run an aggressive challenge with Void? Wow. Something I would not expect against the likes of Enchantress, especially the Void, a very, very non-offensive hero, and Venomancer, he's pretty much a one-and-done hero these days with the Venomous Scale. Treant won't really be able to contribute too much offensive pressure until he hits level 3, so he gets that level 2 Leech Seed. So I'm not too sure if this is the correct move by EG, but I guess we're going to find out very shortly. May EG just say, alright, we don't want to deal with the Lich in the offlane position, denying a lot of creeps, so we'll just try to maximize our experience growth and just go to the tri-lane position rather than going to the offlane position. Since the best way to deal with Lich, which is why Lich was so popular for a couple of years, is, yeah, he can deny your creeps, but teams figured out how to deal with Lich, which is just to push down his tower very early on. Since Lich doesn't really have the best creep clearing abilities to kill creeps at his tower, and since Sacrifice always pushes the creeps in favor of the enemy team, since you will have one less creep to work around with. So EG might be choosing to do the correct move since they don't have the strongest pushers and they want to get as much experience as possible on both the Treant as well as the Faceless Void. So in retrospect, it makes a bit more sense, although this is definitely not the prototypical aggressive tri-lane. I mean, they have one range hero, and this range hero has very short range and only has enough mana to cast one spell. But at the very least, they won't really have to worry about Enchantress because she will be gelling up, and she could potentially come in, but this tri-lane that EG does have in place is a bit annoying to kill, purely on the fact that Treant Protector and Venomancer do a great deal of control in terms of locking people in place. But introducing the rest of the teams, Demon playing the Queen of Pain mid, Bambo is playing the Darkseer, BDS is playing the Venomancer. Meanwhile on the side of Navi, we're going to have Puppey playing one of his trainwreck heroes in the form of Enchantress, Havos is playing the Anti-Mage, Dendi is playing the Puck, Kuroki is playing the Rubik, and Funnick is playing the Lich. And you can see Dendi making an interesting maneuver, recognizing that he wouldn't have the phase shift up, tried to dodge the Shadow Strike by using the Illusory Orb, but unfortunately was just not able to do that at all. And you can see Demon already getting himself out to a healthy advantage with the help of Living Armor. I mean, one creep advantage isn't really the biggest deal, but that advantage will become greater as this game goes on, especially once Treant does pick up more and more levels. And you can see Demon just charging forward, does not care, and Dendi can't really do anything besides escape. He does manage to dodge the Shadow Strike, really, really nicely done by Dendi. So I've got to wonder if this is a European ping, since again, Phoenix to Ukraine. I mean, I don't imagine you can instantly dodge Shadow Strikes if you're on the US East server if you are from Ukraine. So if that's the case, maybe that's why EG picked up a more defensive lineup. But still, that was a really, really well executed play by Dendi. Don't really want to take anything away from him. You know, Bambo versus the Lich. Bambo should have a reasonable time. He should really never die to Lich. And even though he might not get as much lane experience, you can see Bambo can do something that Lich cannot, which is just to rotate himself into the jungle. And sure, it will be slow going at the early stages of the jungle, but as Bambo picks up levels, he will be able to outfarm the Lich by a significant degree, since he will be able to farm both lane creeps as well as jungle creeps, although Lich is controlling the creep ecosystem very, very nicely. And you can see he has picked up that double point to sacrifice. We'll see if he maxes the sacrifice or decides to get some early points into ice armor. You know, Demon just going in, harassing Denny, and Denny already forced to his last set of tangos, and you can see he has not been able to get his bottle up at all, despite burning through all the region that was pulled towards him. You know, Demon, for once, actually having a good time up against Dendy. He's going to get himself an illusion rune, and that'll just make last tank denying a lot easier, and it will help to scout out the next rune placement. And if the illusions are in position, if Demon is not, he can potentially deny the rune if Dendy decides to guess the correct direction. So Dendy just really not going to have a good time in this lane. He will have the bottle shipped out towards him, so that means he will be able to get some safe CS. And Queen of Pain not really able to kill off Dendy that easily, since I'm sure Dendy has played against this matchup dozens of times and probably recognizes when he's at his weakest in this matchup. But he won't be able to really contend with the Queen of Pain in terms of last hits. And it seems like this offensive triangle with the Void is working out thus far for the likes of EG, even though the Enchantress did send a creep through. This defensive nature of Venomancer, as well as Treant Protector, just really allowing Void to do whatever he wants in terms of farming up. So far, EG's lanes are working out pretty well. But it seems like Denny got a bit of harassment onto Demon, and Demon actually took a little bit too much damage, so that will prevent JF from going in a bit too aggressive, since living armor will be on cooldown. And you can see here, just constantly clearing up, will harass with this ridiculously strong base attack damage, as JO is just going to usher away Kuroki. Kuroki going to take a poison attack right to the chin. But here comes Puppey on the offensive. Jo, he does have the time lock, not going to choose to use it, recognizing, okay, living armor's back up, might as well save my mana and use myself. Why use my mana if I don't have to? And the Enchantress in jungle just being completely mitigated by the Treant Protector presence in lane. But I've got to think Puppey is, I mean, he's probably not the happiest with this, I guess, turn of events. I don't know if Navi predicted Nagustachan by EG in the end. But Puppey has been able to hit a very fast level 4, which I don't think he would have been able to do if there was a more defensive situation, since Puppey would be probably called to push on a lot easier. Meanwhile, Kuroki going to sap video experience for himself, so it seems like they are going to ban CS for most at this stage in the game. It's just very difficult lasting against likes of Void as well as Treant Protector. Void, keep in mind, does have some very respectable base damage to last hit with, as Kuroki actually going to deny Rubik since Beatus did rotate himself through, and now Beatus could potentially be in a lot of trouble. Enchant will be popped on the Venomancer, and the Shockwave will come up relatively soon. The Shockwave actually going to miss. His living armor will proc. Oh man, Puppey. I don't know if he would have gotten the kill if the Shockwave managed to hit. Actually, he might have if Vos is able to apply enough pressure. Here comes the orb by Denny, and Beatus will definitely die. Denny going to secure the last hit. Here comes Jail on the offensive. But Anti-Mage does have Blink up relatively soon. JL gonna have all his mana burn, but Demon is here. He's gonna look for the Anti-Mage, but Anti-Mage was able to blink out to safety. Now Puck in a little bit of trouble. Puck is gonna orb out as well. To even try and track the orb, Puck will orb towards it, recognizing that Kuroki will be back relatively soon. And so far, that engagement did greatly favor Navi in the end. Good awareness by Puppey to deny the Rubik, and Beatus ended up giving away first blood towards the Puck, who really can make great usage of that, since Puck was struggling so heavily in the middle lane. Meanwhile, seems like Bambo has been able to catch up a bit in terms of CS again, has been relying on the jungle, and now with the Soul Ring, will always be able to have his mana restored towards him. And Demon might not need to have as many living armors applied to him, although Dendy has not hit level 6. Well, Demon just managed to hit level 6 right then and there, because of that early kill he did manage to secure on Beatus. But if that kill didn't go for Dendy, or didn't happen for Dendy, he wouldn't be able to pick up these boots, and he'd just be in a really difficult scenario. And that would allow Treant to provide the living armor to the Darkseer a bit more competently. But now, since Dendy picked up that kill, he's going to have a lot easier time getting himself back in game, as Dendy is looking to orb out to safety. Demon had the haste rune, but the living armor is going to wear off, and Demon just going to zone Dendy out. I think this is the right play by Demon, as he recognizes that it would be too risky diving in against a Puck, even if Puck didn't currently have enough mana for Dream Call. I mean, why risk it? Meanwhile, JO continuing to farm 34 CS. Anti-Mage, less than half of that, has 6 16 CS as he has finished his Tranquil Boots. Usually these days anti-mages like to get treads before finishing Battle Fury, but I guess Havost wants to get as much regeneration as possible, and you can see he's rotating his attributes back into stats, so trying to just get as tanky as possible. Since he knows at this current point there is not enough magical damage to warrant getting extra points of Spell Shield. Meanwhile, Funnick in a little bit of a difficult situation. Fear, does he have boost speed? He does not, so he's actually going to be very slow. But if there's a surge by Mambo, he could potentially catch out Funnick, but actually Fear gonna back off. Not too sure why Fear decided to rotate himself bottom. I guess he wants to get some creep pulls going and wants to get that level 3 living armor up online ASAP, since the wards allow Navi. The wards on EG's side did time out, and now he's able to creep pull a lot easier. So they are going to sacrifice contestant creeps now that Jo is at a good enough item advantage that he can potentially stay in lane and survive a gank, and they will try to get the Treant living armor buffed up to a sufficient degree that it can protect anyone on the map. Demon gonna bait out Dendy's orb, but Dendy gonna guess for the top rune. Will he be lucky? Will he get that trademark Dendy luck? He will get lucky, as Beatus tried to deny it with the Plague Ward, but unfortunately Dendy was firmly planted right above the rune, and will be able to secure that rune. And EG gonna be forced to retreat. Lich has just been farming incessantly up on this bottom lane. Doesn't have enough mana, so Funnick could be in a bit of a sticky situation, and I think Demon recognizes that, which is why they are going to engage. Here comes Sonic Wave. It's going to be dropped as Mambo will secure the kill. Living Armor going to be applied to Demon, so he can just use his mana or regenerate his mana. So a very necessary kill on Lich, since Lich was farming way too well. But good awareness by Funnick, being able to buy out a majority of his items before he lost a potentially huge chunk of his gold. Beat is Dendy's not going to orb through. I think if he orbed through with the Dream Call and with the Puppy having the Hellbear Smasher, they would have been able to get the kill on Beatus, but maybe they feared a rebuttal teleport from EG and instead decided to go for the less risky play, which is just to apply some damage to this tower. But with living armor, this tower is just going to get regened up, and I don't know. It might have been wiser for Navi in the end to try to kill off Beatus rather than do some insignificant pot shots towards that tower in the end. Both starting to get his farm rolling, as now 35 CS, and JO's farm is significantly slowed down since the creep pulls did happen for Kuroki, as Chainfrost was able to secure the kill on the Treant Protector, and Dendy has the Dream Call, so my bad for missing that kill, guys, but I guess Chainfrost into Frost Nova and Fear not having boots did contribute quite a bit towards his death. Now Fear is alive, getting very close to level 5, as he will use living armor once again. He's going to use it on the Queen of Pain. I'm not too sure why he's always healing up heroes rather than healing up towers, even when the heroes are at full HP. But Demon going to be able to stack these neutrals, and we'll be able to get a decent chunk of farm in exchange.
Tis mine.
Jo seems like he is going to go for the battlefield. His Puppy is going to rotate around, has a Harpy Stormcrafter, as he will pop the Chain Lightning. The Impetus will hit, but Jo just very difficult to hunt down with that Time Lock. Unfortunately for Havost, could not burn a sufficient amount of mana before Jo could Time Lock all the way, because he did go for that stats heavy build since he was challenged by an aggressive Charlie. It seems like Denny going to camp the middle lane with the Invisibility Rune. Not too sure what he'll go for. I think in this game, getting the fast Blink Dagger will be very, very useful against the likes of Quap as well as Void. But Dendy does like to pick up the treads to just allow him to survive and get more casts in general. Funnick getting very close to finishing the mechanism. We'll have the Hedra shipped towards him, and he's going to actually have the mechanism fish in about 200 gold. So maybe at that point, Navi will look for engagement, but maybe they'll just look to open up some more room, as now Demon is going to be engaged upon in the middle lane. Did break the coil, the stats will go down, but Living Armor will just say lol to that, as Demon going to get lifted up in the air. Sonic Wave was actually stolen from Demon, as here comes the rotation by the Void. Sonic Wave will be cast by Demon in the end. Really, really something you don't see every day, but Kuroki will be the first one inside, Navi to get picked off. Puck will orb away to safety, as JL going to get surged for, but I think he recognizes that he can't catch up. So a good rotation. I don't know how Demon got the Sonic Wave stolen from him by the Rubik. Maybe Rubik had it for a really long time before Demon could hide it. But in the end, Demon gonna get a significant amount of farm from that kill. Only got the assist actually, but was able to kill off that nice stack of neutrals. And we'll see what he decides to go for. I think Fast Orchid in this game is going to be very, very useful against Lex of Puck as well as Anti-Mage. So I've got to imagine that is what Demon's going to go for. No, he's going to go for a BKB rush. made in anticipation of Denny rushing his own Blink Dagger, as Meow Jo just going to harass Havost out of the lane. But here comes rotation by Puppey. Will Navi look to engage? I don't think they can. And Puppey just going to be forced to farm once again, but Beatus will spot him out as the Plague Ogre will just harass Puppey by a little bit. And Anti-Mage, that mana break, not burning nearly enough mana from the Void, but now Void does not have enough mana to Time Walk, and we are going to see a rotation by Dendi, who has double danger, and unfortunately for EG, they did not have a rune, or they did not have a ward scouting out what rune Dendi managed to claim, but Dendi actually going to rotate back middle, and now EG does recognize, okay, Dendi had a double danger, and we should probably be careful. Meow Phonic just handling Bambo on this bottom lane. Bambo really just forced into a defensive posture, and you can see Bambo's farm. He has 58 CS, but with one kill, has really not been able to pick up the mechanism since he was forced to go for that Soul Ring build and was forced to pick up a Stout Shield, whereas Lich, he did go for Phase Boots, but outside of that, was not really hampered by any item restrictions. He didn't have to get too many teleports, and he has just been able to rush that mechanism online. But this early mechanism might not matter, especially if Bambo does pick up the mechanism very, very soon, since it all depends on relative timing and usability of that mecha, and so far Lich has yet to use that mecha in a teamfight scenario. But yeah, Demon gonna have that Ogre Club. Might be a bit premature, but maybe he knows that Denny didn't finish the tread, so he's gonna rush that dagger. So if that's the case, good recognition by Demon, because on the side of Navi, I mean, there's not really too many ways to lock heroes like Queen of Pain or Void in place outside of the Puck and the Rubik, as Vita is going to take a bit of harassment, but it is just going to drop the Gale, and will be okay, but we're going to see Puppey rotate in, looking to perhaps do a bit of damage, but I don't think he can get himself a kill. One thing that is going significantly in Navi's favor is if you look at the levels on the side of EG supports are really, really low. I mean, 2 of the supports have not even hit level 6, and that's due to a great presence in the jungle, as here comes Chronos here by Jo. Demon will get into position as Dreamcoil will be popped. Phonic looking to drop the Chain Frost, will be able to drop it successfully. Can EG split? I don't think they will, as the Chain Frost will secure the kill on Faceless Void. Bambo, he didn't have the mechanism, so he couldn't buff up the Void to a sufficient degree, and Living Armor just got overpowered. Demon gonna be an Electro, will get zapped in the face, as a good recovery by Navi, and engaging against the Lich just didn't work out for EG, as they just simply did not have enough damage coming through. That mini stun by Dendi really disrupting the Void's attack rate allowed Lich to save, live, pop his mechanism, and get himself to fighting HP so he could drop a Chain Frost and really turn the engagement around. You know, this tower not going to be armored up, instead will die. Seems like Lich was able to secure the last hit. And we're going to have to see what Lich decides to go for. Will he go for a 4-step or will he go for an aggro rush? As Jo, he did die. He's going to immediately teleport himself towards the top lane, but Puppey's going to rotate himself through Jo. No longer has Time Walk. It is on Quality Impetus, doing a lot of damage, but Living Armor will be applied. Jo could potentially be in Law Troll, but seems like Anti-Mage will be the first one to blink, as Jo will get picked off. The Impetus just doing way too much, and now Havost looking to drive away Demon, doing a lot of right-click damage, but not burning much mana at all. Denny going to blink in with the Silence. Demon going to be in Law Troll. Will get hit by an Orb. Mana Void not doing any damage whatsoever. Demon was still at full mana, and now Puppey is caught in a very, very terrible position. Doesn't really have too much mana for impetuses, and you can see the Living Armor was applied. Kuroki actually stole the Living Armor, as Queen of Pain will secure the last hit. So a bit of an over-aggressive dive by Navi, but very much worth it in the end. They killed off Jo in exchange for an Enchantress, and that is something that Navi will do any day of the week. Furthermore, Puck now has Dreamcoil back online, so if he wants to initiate against Demon, Demon could potentially be in a bit of a tricky situation. Will Dendi Orb in? He's going to look for a Blink Silence instead. Will drop the coil. Demon will immediately break it, recognizing that the coil will not do enough damage to kill him off. And that is because Puck is not yet O1, so good recognition by Demon, knowing that he could just simply break the coil. If he stayed in the coil and tried to juke around the silence, he would have most certainly died in the end. So a bit unfortunate news for Navi, as they are going to get the top tower pushed. The wall is effectively zoning out Navi, but Enchantress actually created an illusion, or stole one of the illusions that Anti-Mage created, and now Fear going to be in a bit of trouble getting a lot of his mana burn. Host starting to put more points in that mana break, trying to burn as much mana as possible, as Jo could be in for a Rude Awakening. I don't know if Navi has enough damages. Here comes the Fable, Jo. Still very confident. Kuroki will lift Jo up in the air, but I don't think Navi have enough damage to bring down Jo in the end. If Dendi had a bit more mana, maybe that would be the case, but Jo actually going to drop the Chronosphere, preventing any sort of backup, so in the end, I think Navi will be okay with that. They prevented Void from farming, and now they don't have to worry about the Chronosphere for the next 100 seconds or so.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Unfortunately for the side of Navi, they
Radiant
weren't able to steal the
structures
Chronosphere
are
since
fortified.
Void was just able to drop it, then run out of there, and Navi couldn't keep up vision of the Void during that duration. And
Radiant's
meanwhile, the top tower will
has
fall
fallen.
towards the forces of Navi, so it
Dire's
seems like
middle
tree and armor
tower is under attack.
only being used for heroes, not being used for towers whatsoever. Well, I guess it was used for that tower since it was on cooldown, so my bad,
Radiant's
Fear,
bottom
but
tower is under attack.
Navi shouldn't be able to get that many towers with only Enchantress being its strongest push at this stage of the game. But I guess two towers isn't really that many towers in retrospect. Bambo has now finished the mechanism, is toying around with the 900 golden bank. Probably go for the arcane boots because Soul Ring usually is not enough in a teamfight situation, especially when it's on cooldown.
Radiant's middle
But we are going to
tower
get
is under
teleport to
attack.
protect the middle tower. Still no living armor being applied just yet, as Fear is going to drop it onto Demon, and Demon might look to initiate with the help of this living armor. You know, Kuroki, I'm not too sure what he stole as here comes the over, gonna hold the entire squadron of Navi in place. Chain Frost bouncing, but Illusions and Creeps just gonna soak up so many of the bounces. So a really great engagement being won by EG in that situation. The vacuum to Overgrowth was perfectly executed, and I think even though Kuroki stole Blink, you can't blink out of Overgrowth.
Dire's middle tower is
I don't
under
believe you
attack.
can. I could be sorely mistaken. But now Navi, without two of their main heroes, won't be able to defend this tower despite Denny doing his best efforts. Actually, will go for a kill. We'll be able to kill Venus, but Venomancer was able to secure the Blastia on the tower in the end with the Plague Wards. But still, a nice rebuttal from Dendy nonetheless, and he will be able to finish his treads up relatively soon. But that kill by Demon gonna allow him to get that BKB up relatively soon, and once that BKB is finished, there's really nothing on the side of Navi that can touch Demon once he does have that BKB activated. So 6-6 is the score. I've got to imagine Navi slightly in the more advantageous situation since Void has died a couple times, and Anti-Mage has finished his Battle Fury, so he can just farm a lot more efficiently. But EG is starting to get their teamfight rolling. I mean, it's very annoying to deal with the Gale, as Fear are going to be in bit of trouble. Does not have any points into Nature's Skies, will be forced to burn the Overgrowth. Well, worth it to escape in the end. As, I mean, Overgrowth does have a relatively short cooldown, all things considered. But Navi going to use this time to go in for the Roshan engagement, as Funnick going to Frost Armor creep, and can see Roshan just attacking so damn slowly. And that will be Void in the late stages of the game if Living Armor is applied to the majority of Navi's heroes, which I'm sure Funnick will do, since Funnick is obviously a very smart player. But you can see Navi have a pretty significant gold advantage. 5k at 19 minutes is definitely nothing to sneeze at. 5k experience advantage as well. But I think EG do have the line to turtle very effectively. They have a Darkseer, they have Plague Wards, they have Tree and Protector, and they have a very strong late game carry that can fall back on in the form of Void, who, even though he was shut down quite hard, he will be able to recover and should be able to have enough time bought for him that he can finish his Battle Fury and start getting his items rolling.
Is under attack.
You know, we'll see if Pavos disassembles Strangles and tries to pick up Treads instead. Usually Treads just overall is a better item, and actually he is going to disassemble the Tranquil Boots right now as I spoke. But yeah, Treads is a preferred choice since you really need the mana to blink around, since Battle Fury won't really give you enough mana regeneration to just blink around unless you switch to Intelligence Treads. And of course, Agility Treads gives Anti-Mage more armor, as well as more attack speed and more damage, and Strength Treads gives him more HP. Meanwhile, Tranquil Boots just gives you a nice amount of regeneration, but it does drain Anti-Mage's limited mana pool once he does use that Tranquil Boots charges. Meanwhile, Dendy with the 80 billionth invisibility rune of the game, gonna look to once again initiate on the side of EG, but EG are in a very well protected position. They're staying very close towards their tower, and Dendy gonna reveal himself, will initiate onto Demon, but I think he does recognize he can't get the kill, even if he did pop the coil, so good recognition by Dendy, and Living Armor will be used on Demon. Not really necessary since Demon's headed back anyways, but I guess better be safe rather than sorry. Now, I think EG do have a pretty good anti-split push lineup. They have Darkseer, they have Queen of Pain, who can potentially counter-push very easily. They have a Void, and they have a Tree Protector to heal their buildings, which is, I think, the most important factor. But Fear gonna get himself silenced, and Fear gonna be in a very difficult situation. Here comes Jay with the Chronosphere. Will trap Fear, but is gonna trap the entirety of Navi. Here comes Vacuum, Poison Nova gonna be dropped as well. Overgrowth will hold the entire side of Navi in place. The Chain Frost bouncing all over the place, but he's gonna hit a lot of creeps. BKB will be activated by Demon. Seems like EG just cleaning up shop that vacuum has just been on point for Bambo in these engagements. Meanwhile, Demon was able to hunt down Lich, looking to engage upon Kuroki. Kuroki, can he still blink? He stole Sonic Wave, but already used it. Now Demon gonna be driven away. Does not want to be re-engaged upon. He is out of mana, and Mana Void could be coming in relatively sure, but no, Mana Void is on cooldown. Bambo looking to perhaps re-engage himself, has Iron Shell on lockdown. Avos has Aegis, and that's why he's playing so damn aggressively. Meanwhile, Avos just going to blink back to safety, but a really, really good engagement being won by EG. And again, pushing in against EG's lineup as a 5-man lineup versus EG's 5-man lineup is just going to be really, really difficult. And you can see Demon, I think, took 2 of the Chain Frost bounces, but of course, Chain Frost won't do any damage while BKB's activated, so Demon was able to survive a lot of that damage. The Chronosphere was very nicely timed by Jo. I don't know if it was nicely timed or if it was just a bit of luck, since Dendy actually orbed in at the precise moment that Chronosphere was dropped. So very, very unfortunate for Dendy. And Dendy actually picked up Boots of Travel to try to help him split push a bit more effectively and maybe help out the Anti-Mage should Anti-Mage find himself in a bit of trouble. But Anti-Mage himself decided to go for Boots of Travel, so I guess Navi saying screw being aggressive, let's just go for split push. But EG after that one team fight, Bambo gonna pick up his signature Blink Dagger up on the dark side. Demon gonna be in a bit of trouble. We'll take a lot of edge, but is gonna pop the BKB. I don't know if that was completely necessary, as I think Demon would have been able to escape nonetheless, since Telekinesis was the only stun. But again, they didn't know where Puck was on the map, as we are gonna see rotation by Puck. Kuroki will be the one to die. Funnick gonna die as well, as Denny gonna blink himself in. Demon will be in a lot of trouble. We'll get mech'd up, should be okay. So in the end, that BKB used by Demon was very, very well timed, as Puppy gonna be in a lot of trouble. Will pop the Wisps, but should inevitably die. The Leech Seed just gonna heal up EG by a tremendous degree, and now EG just looking to get themselves a very big advantage, but all the while Havost is pushing on the top lane, so Havost will be able to get the tower into 9 range, but the Living Armor actually hit up the tower to a tremendous degree, and Havost, recognizing that Demon is close to being out of mana and has to be keeping on cooldown, will try to apply as much pressure as possible. Havost went for a very squishy build, but the reason why he's sticking around so long is because he does have the Aegis, and Demon gonna be in a lot of trouble. He will take a mana void, but the Living Armor gonna preserve Demon's life for now. Will Demon have enough mana? The Magic Stick will be used in about a couple of seconds, but Demon will die in the end. No mechanism is gonna heal up Demon, as Demon is juking, as only Demon can do, and Demon should be able to escape. No more chasing by Havost. I don't think he'll be able to catch up Demon at the end, with the Surge being online. Vacuum will suck Havost back into place, and no, Demon, I think he's trying to bait out. What the hell is Demon doing? He still had 2 magic wand charges. If he used that mana, he could have blinked away to safety, but I don't know. He just juked around in place. I think he wanted to force Havost to burn the Aegis, but the Aegis is timing out relatively soon, and I mean, burning the Aegis on the Anti-Mage isn't really the biggest deal, since the Anti-Mage will just blink on out of there. And now, EG, since they were forced to teleport a couple of their heroes in response, gonna lose a lot of their momentum when they're pushing in towards the middle tower. So a really questionable decision by Demon in the end. Tried to make a big play, but unfortunately sort of fell flat on his face. Meanwhile, Jo blinked in. Did he use the Chrono? That's the real question. I guess he did not. But Havost, his Aegis was already expended, as Anti-Age is going to explode in a giant barrage of X's. And that signifies to me that my client is currently out of date. So, sorry for that.
Bottom tower is under attack.
But yeah, also very unfortunate for Demon in that engagement, even though he's been playing very well this game, was that he did use another BKB charge, and that was an 8-second BKB charge. And that means as the game progresses, once Puck picks up an item like a Hex, those BKBs will become less and less effective. As Bambo going to take a whole bunch of damage. Trim actually going to blink in, as here comes the Poison Nova holding the majority of Navi in place. Will drop a Sonic Wave right onto Puppy's face, as Sonic Wave will once again be stolen by Kuroki. But Demon will pick up another barrage of kills. Again, I don't know if the BKB was necessary, but Demon just burning through those BKB charges as quickly as possible. And we're going to have to see if this costs him in the end, but EG has been able to take a pretty stable kill advantage, and they have now evened up the towers to a nice degree. JL going to blink in with the Mask Mask, looking for a bash. Will be able to get Funnick in place, but that was only his first bash, though, so that's why JL did drop the Chronosphere. We'll be able to kill Funnick in the end, and now Funnick is out of the picture for the next 50 seconds or so. So a good engagement, but then you get a blink in. Living Armor just says lull to your engagements, as JL going to be brought down to very low mana, but the Time Lock going to hold Havost in place. He will be able to blink out to safety, as now EG are starting to get all their mojo rolling. They're doing a lot of damage, and now Void is starting to become a pretty big problem. He has Mask Madness, and he has Living Armor, so he doesn't need as much survivability as he otherwise would need. And of course he does have the Battle Fear to increase farming output. You know, Demon probably gonna go for the Hex. I've got to imagine he's gonna go for the Hex. I mean, if you were to get Orchid, you'd probably pick it up a lot earlier, but Hex seems to be the best option for Demon in this situation. You know, Anti-Mage picked up a Yasha, just gonna try to split push as fast as possible, but you can see in these teamfight scenarios, Anti-Mage won't be able to do that much since he doesn't really have much HP to work around with. Instead, it's just going for all-out farming and split pushing hard to build his Puppy. Gonna find himself overgrowth. Puppy will take a poison override to the face, and Jo will be able to secure himself another kill. Is now dominating, and the Centaur just forced to try to stampede on out of there. Unfortunately, can only plot out to his death. So EG is starting to take a huge advantage in this game, as now they have probably made up a significant amount of the experience deficit. The goal advantage still favoring Navi, since Navi had been able to split push very effectively, but you can see the experience advantage is now evened up for the most part. Checking out the M's, Beatus, as always, is supporting as best he possibly can. Only has wards, only has 14 CS. But Venomancer, again, all he really needs to do in a teamfight is drop a Poison Nova, drop a Gale, and then just say, alright, you can kill me now, guys. But he does have an urn, he is warding as best he possibly can, and you can see EG has a lot of vision on the map, whereas Navi has a lot of their vision restricted since they don't have as many aggressive heroes, since they did go for a very split-pushing oriented build on their heroes. You know, EG are going to be able to muscle down this tower. I don't imagine Navi will try to respawn towards this tower being killed off as Jail. Going to get even more gold into his back pocket. And this middle tower has actually been healed up by the Living Armor to full HP. Man, Treant Protector, what a hero. Puppy going to go for the Aghanim Scepter, a very standard build as Kuroki. If he stole Sonic Wave once again, I'd probably just cry, but he stole Scream Pain. Pretty much a standard Queen of Pain that you should steal, if not Blink. But it is a bit surprising. Good reactions by Kuroki to always steal Sonic Wave, as, I mean, of course Demon wants to walk up close and use that Screen Pain to actually hit his target. So during that slight gap in seconds, that's when Kuroki steals the Sonic Wave. But Lich gonna finish the Aghanim Scepter, and Lich is really farmed. Aghanim Scepter on Lich, those bounces hurt. They hurt so much. Even if EG does pick up a pipe, those bounces will still hurt, because one barrage will melt through an entire pipe duration single-handedly, and Lich is getting very close to level 16. And keep in mind, Lich Chain Frost level 16 is able to be cast once every minute. And you can see the Scepter damage, 460 damage over 10 bounces, an immense amount of damage. Sonic will be engaged upon. Here comes the Chain Frost, going to bounce all over the place, but only bounces twice, as Sonic will die in the end. So, seems like EG are starting to muster a bit of momentum, as well they pressured the tier 3, they see Havos pushing on the bottom lane, and will try to respond. This tower is at full HP, but I don't know if EG had the spells necessary to break the base, having expanded Chronosphere. So in the end, backing off, I think, was the correct decision by EG. But yeah, back to Beat, as you can see, his farm has been severely limited because Fear actually managed to farm a relatively fast Blink Dagger, all things considered, for Treant Protector. His Beat will just be sacrificed. Fear tried to cast the Overgrowth Pull, instead will break the coil, and now Fear gonna be in a lot of trouble. What spell did Kuroki steal? He stole Living Armor, and that is gonna be so useful for Navi, since they'll be able to heal up all the towers, and will allow their mobile heroes to play a lot more aggressively. So a couple of EG heroes being caught out of position as they tried to plant some very aggressive Roshan wards. But now, Navi will look to engage, and without those two heroes being alive for EG, the side of Navi should be able to take down Aegis relatively easy. As Demon gonna be in a lot of trouble. He's gonna pop the BKB. He saw Denny rotate himself in and realized the only way he can escape is by using the BKB. You know, Scythe Device will be finished on Dendy in about 1200 gold, and Havos gonna go to work on the Roshan. Has finished the Mantis Style, so now he actually has a bit of HP to work around with. This Roshan taking a lot of damage. I'm a bit surprised to see that Puppy is not really taking up the damage. Well, I guess trademark Puppy fashion, he's not maxing Untouchable or not getting any points on Untouchable. As here comes Engagement, Fear gonna blink himself in. Can they kill off Havos? You can see Jo just being stunned in place for such a huge amount of time as X is just gonna mark the spot. Jo unable to get any right clicks, but now he's getting time locks left and right. Here comes Sonic Wave, will melt down Kuroki, so no more Sonic Wave stolen for Kuroki in this matchup, as Puppy will be the next one to die. Puppy gonna immediately buy back. They want to try to defend Roshan, as Havos gonna blink away to safety. Meanwhile, Beat is gonna be a lot of trouble. Will be caught in the back lines as he was unable to drop the Poison Nova, I do believe. And EG gonna rotate themselves in for Roshan. The Chronosphere has been expanded. More X is gonna fill my screen. His Hex is gonna go down onto Havost. The vacuum gonna be able to suck Havos right back in place. Havos gonna buy back as Na'Vi forced to burn through 2 buybacks just to try to defend the Roshan, but I think they will be able to do it successfully since a lot of the major EG ultimates have already been expended. And I've got to think EG will back off at this point. Meanwhile, Lich is finally alive, has the Chain Frost, has the Frost Armor, and I think this will force EG to retreat. The good news for Na'Vi is that Dandy didn't die, so his Hex will still be coming at a relatively fast pace. And considering Void has yet to finish the BKB, no, he just finished the BKB, as he does have the 10-second BKB online, but Na'Vi gonna work on Roshan. They will be able to pick up the last hit, and 2H, keep in mind, does not have too much HP to work it, as J.O. is trying to go in for the time lock. Gonna dispel the sounds as Denny's taking a lot of bash damage. Chain Frost once again bouncing all over the place. X is gonna mark Havos to the ground. EG Fear will be likely the first one inside of EG to die, but he's healing up by such a tremendous amount with Leech Seed as well as Living Armor. He's just running close to the Enchantress to try to take as little damage from the Impetus as possible. Funnick so tanky with the Frost Star. You can see J.O. just being slowed down a relentless amount, and seems like Na'Vi will take this engagement relatively easily. Were they even forced to burn through the Aegis? They were not, as Havos is going to bring himself right back into the thick of things. And that means Na'Vi looking in a very, very good position as they survive the first 10-second BKB charge on the Void. But keep in mind, EG did fight that engagement without the majority of their ultimates online. So I think it would have been a relatively even engagement if EG were able to drop the Chronosphere, if not very EG. But they couldn't drop the Chronosphere, they couldn't drop the wall since they were both on cooldown. And that means EG in a very sticky situation as Demon, speaking of a sticky situation, will find himself caught in Dream Coil. One more hit will seal the fate of Demon on that top lane. Try to provide as much pressure as possible towards that top tower, but Living Armor will heal up that tower to a tremendous degree. And Kuroki's just going to cackle to himself evilly, saying, "This is why I pick Rubik to prevent any tree choices." Havos gonna get his Aegis burned, and J.O. has his Chronosphere. Will they expend the Chronosphere? They will, as Havos gonna be caught in a very, very bad position to say least. Will take a lot of damage. Venomous Miguel as well as Poison Nova will be dropped, and I think Havos will die. Fear actually gonna blink himself forwards, ensure the kill, rather than just wait for the Poison Edge to take in, because Havos could have potentially teleport himself out of trouble. So EG managed to get a 1-for-1 trade. They burn through 2 of Anti-Mage's lives, but Edge is gonna get more and more difficult to bring down. Keep in mind, his only survivability item is a Manta Style. J.O. holding on to a bit of gold. Did he just recently pick up an item? I guess he picked up the BKB quite recently and has just not been able to farm since then. Darkseer making his way towards the Hex. Should have it up in about 700 gold. Inside Na'Vi, you can see Puppey getting very close to finishing the Aghanim Scepter. And getting that increased range is going to be very good. But I'm a bit surprised to notice that Puppey is not getting any points to Untouchable whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, Untouchable is not really the best skill in the game, but against a hero like Void, who wants to attack you a lot, getting at least 1 point to Untouchable I think would be feasible. But I mean, I can't really question Puppey, though in the end I am going to question it against Alexa Void. Maybe feels like if he even got Untouchable, the amount of damage that EG is pumping out besides the Void would just be way too much. Or May thinks he will be the first one to die if Void does pop the BKB. The way he's going for a very stats-heavy build, that's going to give him a lot of extra mana to spam those impetuses, as well as a lot of HP to survive a lot of the magical damage. Still, I'd advocate getting at least 2 points to Untouchable at this point, especially against Alexa Void, since that 50% attack speed would help you out quite a bit compared to, I guess, how much HP do you get from 2 stats? I think you get like 90 HP, something like that. As Na'Vi will smoke up Demon. Again, has Nexus. Here comes the blink in by Kuroki. They will silence Demon, but he has the BKB. Chain Frost will be bouncing left and right. Can they get Frost Armor off onto Dendi as Fear is going to blink himself in? Will hold Dendi as well as Kuroki into place. A really strong counter initiation being mustered by EG as now the vacuum will go down onto Funnick, and Funnick will most certainly die. Where is Zavost? You can see he's immediately making his way towards the bottom lane to try to start the split push brigade. But unfortunately, EG just were able to clean up house, and they're going to make their way towards the middle barracks. I'm not too sure if Na'Vi can stop him. They don't have any items up on the Lich. He just bought a Ghost Scepter. Kuroki does not have enough for buyback. Dendi does not have enough for buyback. This will most certainly be a middle set of barracks, especially since Havos was not able to get the split push started up on the bottom lane. I don't know why Havos didn't immediately rotate himself towards the bottom lane, instead chose to farm some neutrals for a bit. But that little bit of extra time might cost Na'Vi a tier 2 tower in exchange. And Na'Vi gonna be forced to move up, but I don't think they can defend the barracks. Void just doing way too much damage. And keep in mind, Trian, 130 damage without any items will allow EG to take the first set of barracks in this game, and there's nothing Na'Vi can do about it. Will they even get a tier 2 in response? it seems like they will, as Living Armor was actually used on Fear, for Fear. But EG going to be more than happy to trade a tier 2 in exchange for a middle set of barracks, as EG are looking in a very, very strong position. And now Na'Vi, they went for a very split pushing oriented build, so they definitely have a lot of ways to get themselves back in game. Right now, it's clear to say that Na'Vi is in a bit of a deficit, but they still have a pretty significant goal advantage as well as a significant experience advantage, so maybe that just evened up the game a little bit more for EG. But EG actually going to smoke up, do they have the Chronosphere online? They will have it in about 5 seconds. They shouldn't look to engage until then, but here comes the vacuum. They will get the Overgrowth online. Battle Fury Void just cleaving left and right. Here comes the huge engagement. Chain Frost bouncing all over the place. Darkseer will kill off Enchantress, and meanwhile the Chronosphere is back on. They will kill off Kroki as well. Funnick going to be launchable, but here comes Hex by Dandy as we'll hold Void in place for now. Rubik going to buy back, and all while you can see the bottom lane pushing in. Vos, where is Vos? He will be able to secure the kill on the Darkseer, and Vos' arrival to the party will drive away the forces of EG. More X's appearing all over the screen as they will be able to secure the kill on Venomancer as well as Demon, and EG tried to strike back with a nice counter initiation. They did force the buyback in the end, but they lost 4 heroes in response. And look for Na'Vi to immediately march down the middle lane and try to take the tier 2, since I don't think, well, EG can potentially buy back if they really want to, but they can only buy back on the Queen of Pain and the Venomancer, who are really not the biggest deals in the world. But Denny's going to spark some form of reprisal. Will go in for the Hex, does manage to Hex up Jail, and that is going to spark a buyback by both the Treant Protector as well as the Queen of Pain. Meanwhile, Dandy going to get Leech Seed up, should be able to escape. Of course, Puck being a very escapable hero, he will find himself in big trouble, will get Hexed up a couple time locks, we'll seal the fate of Dandy, and Dandy does not have buyback as he's already, well, he doesn't have enough gold. So very chaotic last couple of minutes, but in the end EG seems to have climbed out ahead, all things considered. They were forced to burn 2 buybacks, but keep in mind Na'Vi burned 2 of their own buybacks as well. They burned a buyback on Kroki, and I guess that's it. Everybody else just naturally spawned, but more importantly EG were able to take the middle set of barracks. And vacuum into Overgrowth. I mean, who needs vacuum into Song of Siren? You can just vacuum into Overgrowth or Overgrowth into vacuum. Blink Dagger Darkseer, Bambo is just playing really, really well. Has finished his Scythe of Ice, has level 3 of Wall, and you can see he's having a tremendous impact in this game. And so far, I think it's safe to say that Bambo is definitely the MVP in the team fights for EG.
Dire's bottom tower has
You know, Jo is getting very, very scary. Has 4.3 clear gold in the bank, and EG, they're gonna go to work on the tier 2. I think they'll take this 4. Havos can clear off this tier 3, especially with living armor being applied. But Man Style will be used by Havos, gonna drain away a lot of the living armor charges, and you're gonna see some teleports. Bambo will teleport himself in to try to defend this tower. His Face's Sword will pick up the last hit. The tower not into range, as actually Darkseer is able to guess which Havos is the correct Havos. Overgrowth going to hold the Anti-Mage in place. The Anti-Mage going to be launchable. Double Hex is going to hold the Anti-Mage in place for such a long time. Really good recognition by Bambo. Recognized which Anti-Mage illusion was doing the most damage, or which Anti-Mage illusion had the most attack speed, and then chose the Anti-Mage to Hex up appropriately, and that allowed the kill on Havos and forced Havos to buy back, and that means Jo can buy an Eagle Song. Meanwhile, Havos was forced to burn a lot of his heart gold on that buyback in response. So EG playing really, really smartly at this stage in the game, as they're making a very, very strong comeback. And still, the split pushing efforts of Na'Vi just means that they're always ahead in terms of gold as well as experience. But the thing about EG's lineup is that they just team fight so exceptionally well, and it's really hard for Na'Vi to actually engage them in a team fight 5v5 matchup. But Lich is now level 16. Now a free Chain Frost does 550 points of damage. And, I mean, the Chain Frost will probably bounce at least once every team fight, maybe bounce even twice. Ooh, I thought Enchantress would have been in a bit of trouble, but I guess was able to teleport out to safety, or may I just misread the icon on the map. Anti-Mage going to buy out the heart, since he already uses buyback, might as well buy out to try to get yourself as tanky as possible for the next team fight. Is EG going to smoke up and look for a kill, since you know Roshan will be respawning relatively soon. Rubik has his dagger. He's had it for quite a while, as Bambo is trying to get in position for another Blink Vacuum, but there wouldn't be enough follow-up for EG to secure a kill. Fear was just lagging a bit too far behind, and Na'Vi will be able to escape to safety. And Na'Vi pretty sure they knew that the gank was coming, because, I mean, they see nobody on the bottom lane for EG. They're just like, hey, what's up? Even though we have no vision currently, I mean, EG would obviously be trying to defend their bottom tower, getting some much needed CS for Void. scary thing about Faceless Void is that he still has some room to grow. He needs the boots of travel. He's going to finish the butterfly relatively soon. He's actually choosing to buy out rather than save for buyback. Maybe he's just relying on living armor and surge to get him out of trouble. Because his HP pool is really not the most significant in the game. But I guess he's going to farm. He's going to finish the butterfly, I've got to imagine, since he did secure himself the null talisman as well. And maybe he thinks that EG are in such a comfortable position that he should be able to get an Aegis for free. But gotta be careful against the likes of Navi, who are just so sneaky. As JL will finish the butterfly, and that is going to be incredibly difficult to lock him down. As now, keep in mind, backtrack does stack with evasion in terms of physical attacks, so he can dodge a lot of impetus attacks. He can dodge a majority of Navi's physical damage, except of course the cleave damage being splashed by anti-mage. But that butterfly gonna allow JO to be so survivable, and nobody on the side of Navi is really anywhere close to picking up an MKB. And I mean, who would actually pick up an MKB on the side of Navi outside of a Vost? I guess nobody. You know, Roshan has respawned. EG might be a little bit slow to the party, but they should be able to contest this. Havos just simply not doing enough, since he is the only person tanking the Roshan at this stage. Here comes Blanket by Demon. Will look to get the Hex off. Did already activate the BKB, so now if Dendi engages, Demon could be in a lot of trouble, since Demon does do a significant amount of damage. As Havos gonna blink in, they will Hex up Bambo. Recognizing Bambo is such a crucial portion, but they will drop the corners here to try to protect Bambo for now. The Chain Frost is bouncing all over the place, and you can see that just was able to crush Treant Protector, and meanwhile Havos is just putting so much damage. JO will be killed off, and JO does not have buyback. Keep in mind, EG, did they just throw away the victory? Well, they threw away the Roshan. As I apologize about the axes. Casting this game right as an update is going on, evidently, but I know it's very, very annoying to watch. Is Bambo gonna buy back into a feed? Wanted to contest it, wanted to go for a trademark Bambo Aegis Jack, but ended up paying for it with his life. And EG, they should have just backed off as soon as Demon lost his BKB. And the Chain Frost just did way too much damage towards the side of EG. But Demon gonna push out the tower. Kuroki actually gonna come in with the stolen Chronosphere. Will they have enough damage to kill off Demon? Yes, they will, as they're gonna Hex up Demon. And Demon will get another spell stolen from him, as Kuroki will be able to still Scream Pain. Now Navi have just been able to take pretty big advantage. Well, not a big advantage, but they've been able to take an advantage in this game. As now they have the Aegis, they have Anti-Mage with 2 lives, and he has the heart. He's going to be very difficult to kill. And JO went for the butterfly, which I think was the correct choice rather than saying for buyback in the end. I mean, Void by himself in a teamfight without a Chronosphere can't really do anything even if he does buyback, especially in isolated positions such as Rosan. So I think JO did make the right decision. I think EG as a whole did not make the right decision, however, and they paid for it with their lives. Phoenix Chain Frost was just on point. It just bounced all over the place and did so much damage towards the entire squadron of EG. And I'm still very, very surprised we're facing a freaking Lich and a Puck, and EG is not building a pipe. Like, I don't understand. They only have 2 BKBs. I mean, Living Armor can't negate all of it. At this stage, it only mitigates 80 damage per hit, which is still 460 damage or 470 damage per bounce with the Living Armor online. And yeah, BKB means that you won't take the damage from the Chain Frost, but it still will bounce over the place. So I'm really, really questioning the decision by Bambo to not pick up a pipe. Instead, he went for Boots of Travel. And I think he only got the Boots of Travel for that buyback scenario. But we're going to have to find out if EG's poor decision making that last team fight will end up costing them the game, as now Navi has been able to command a significant gold as well as a significant experience advantage. Of course, at this stage in the game, the gold advantage means a lot more in comparison to experience. Host almost has 5k gold in the bank, and he still has Aegis, and you can see he's just charging forward confidently, knowing that his teammates can bail him out of trouble. But EG looking to wrap around, they know Habos will likely not be going out alone, as then he can rotate himself in, and EG gonna backstab with a smoke gank. Can Bambo set up a nice initiation to try to redeem himself after his previous fail? We're gonna find out very shortly, as Darks are gonna surge forward. Navi, they're gonna clump up. The vacuum, oh, good blink out by Crocus. The Hex will go down to Sexy Bambo. Here comes Joe initiating onto Dendi. The BKB will be popped as Dendi, the Chain Frost bouncing on all the magical immune heroes. Funnick just gonna take a lot of damage, but still not enough seems like the Frost Armor just way too powerful, giving Quick so much extra HP. Vanavoid not doing nearly enough, but Aegis still is up on the anti-age. Rubik is going to secure the first kill on the Darkseer, and it seems like EG will be driven back successfully. Vita is going to be killed off as well. And Jo going to be in launch. Jo is definitely going to die, has all his mana burn, as Venator was able to secure the kill on Lich with the remnants of his poison attack, as actually Jo might be able to kill off the Aegis, but Havos is going to blink himself back in, will be able to secure the kill on Jo with the help of Puppey. And that engagement, it was looking good for EG, but a really, really quick reaction by Kuroki allowed him to blink out to safety, and I'm sure Jo wanted to pop the Chronosphere at that point. You know, Kuroki, he stole the Chronosphere, he has the Chronosphere in the next engagement, and the only person who died inside Navi was Lich. And you can see that Frost Armor just tanking up the squadron of Navi to such an extent that Jo, even with the Butterfly as well as the Mask of Madness, once his VKB runs out, he just attacks very slow. Not too sure if Frost Armor goes through BKB. It might go through BKB. The soul might go through BKB, that is. But Navi will be able to secure themselves in the middle lane of Barracks. I thought that was a good engagement being taken by EG as they managed to catch Navi off guard, but Navi just with the Aegis as well as having good, better positioning in the team fight allowed them to walk away with that teamfight victory. And now EG gonna lose the middle set of Barracks, since Navi did go for a very split pushing oriented item build. They're gonna be a really, really big advantage, as Havos gonna find himself hexed up twice. Should be okay. Vacuum will be used, as Overgrowth will be used as well, but I don't know if EG has enough damage. Chronosphere will be dropped by Kuroki, covering the retreat of Navi. Sphere will pop the Ghost Scepter. Demon gonna be on. Demon will get picked off as the wall. Gonna be dropped by Kuroki. Did Kuroki steal wall? Oh my god, Kuroki. This Rubik is just going in, stealing every single ultimate in the book. But Jao's going to come back, and yes, Chronosphere going to focus on Puppey, as he's going to pop his BKB in the meanwhile, knowing that he will get hexed up. Havos going to be in a bit of trouble, but he still has the Aegis online, and Havos will be driven away. Bambo going to get the vacuum, as Havos going to get time locked in, will be able to escape by just the skin of his teeth, and will be able to preserve his Aegis. And more importantly, will be able to hold on to his life, since if he did die, I think Treant Protector would have been out to surround, and one bash would have spelled the end of Havos. But you can see Havos just immediately going back to work. We'll try to finish off the bottom set of Barracks. We'll be facing back the regeneration, since he isn't currently fighting any creeps. So in the end, that is not going to accomplish too much, but we'll force a rotation by Sexy Bambo. And Bambo left to ponder his decision making in the trees for a little bit. Meanwhile, Navi has taken a huge goal advantage. 20k advantage is the favor, or is the goal advantage for the squadron of Navi. Meanwhile, Kuroki just seemingly picking up a lot of items that can allow him to team fight. He could potentially go for a Bloodstone. I mean, Rubik doesn't build into an item, so I don't know why he'd pick up Point Boost rather than just to fight with it. But I guess he just wants to pick up a very cost-efficient item that does give him room to buy back if he really needs to do that. So he will have enough for buyback, and he does have a little bit more HP as well as a little bit more mana. Meanwhile, Havos 8k gold in the bank, just rolling in the money. Puppey with an Aghanim Scepter, Force Staff as well as a Ghost Scepter, very difficult to bring down. Now he's finally getting those points in Untouchable. Now that he recognizes that Void's BKB time is starting to wear down to a very, very low point. Denny picking up his trademark Ethereal Blade, already finished the Lincoln Sphere as well. I guess the Lincoln Sphere is for the Hex, for the Queen of Pain, as that is definitely restricting the movement of Denny quite a bit in these engagements, but the E-Blade is going to allow Void to just not be able to attack, and there are a lot of hexes inside Navi. Halberd was the choice by Lich. So many anti-Void measures. They have Halberd, they have hexes, they have E-Blades, they have Frost Armor. This Void, I think he might have to buy a new BKB with the next item choice at this rate, just because he won't be able to do anything with the 4-second BKB currently. Abyssal Blade was the choice by Havost, as he still has buyback, and he still has Vlad, so I think his last item slot will likely be an MKB to try to break through that Void's backtrack, or break through the Void's Butterfly Evasion, not the backtrack. And he'll try to let one of his supports pick up the Vlads in response. And meanwhile, Navi gonna clear up an ancient stack that EG were stacking up, not the biggest ancient stack in the world, but still a nice bit of gold for the squadron of Navi. Meanwhile, if you check out the squadron of EG, Veil will be the item choice for Venomancer, wants to get as much magical damage going as possible, since only one person inside Navi has the BKB finished. Bambo holding on to a couple tangos. For what reason? Not sure, but he didn't have these tangles last time I checked the design slots. Maybe he wanted the extra bit of regeneration. Who knows? Maybe they're going to do a sneaky wraparound gank with these tangos. I mean, I can't honestly say for sure. Oh, he bought them when he was trapped in these trees, and instead of waiting for the blink die to come back online, he just decided to spend 90 gold and get himself a set of tangos to get himself out of there. You know, Demon, he's had a pretty good game, but you can see his effectiveness is starting to severely wane. I mean, his BKB has been at 4 seconds for the past couple of minutes, and is going to go for the Shiva's Guard, and that will definitely help EG by a sizable amount, reducing attack speed, but it just simply won't be enough against this incredibly farmed anti-mage. But Chronosphere and the teamfight of EG, if now you are foolish enough to engage in a 5v5 teamfight, might allow EG an opening to get themselves back in game, since I still think EG's teamfight is a little bit too difficult for Navi to overcome. I mean, straight up in a 5v5 teamfight engagement. When Navi's approaching from low ground. If it's an even footing, then Navi will have a significant edge just because of their superior item advantage. As Meow seems like probably just doing split pushing, throwing down impetuses, and actually doing a huge chunk of damage towards Demon. Luckily for Demon, he was always able to dodge one of those impetuses, otherwise he would have been driven back to base, but is going to back off the base anyways. And Vo's just going to look to farm the top lane. He has Boots Travel online, but since he doesn't have the keep light, Navi will have to back off, otherwise they will be caught in engagement without their anti-mage, and that is why EG is approaching Navi so aggressively. Will look to spot out Puppey, will Void look for a Chronosphere. No, instead Bambo will blink in, and you can see Jo just being neutralized quite a bit from that untouchable. Ghost Scepter will be used by Puppey to get himself up to a bit of healthy HP, but Puppey will inevitably die in the end. And Puppey does not have buyback, but all things considered, Enchantress is probably the least important here on the side of Navi at this stage in the game. So I'm not too sure if EG can do anything off of this Enchantress skill. The creeps are just definitely not in their favor whatsoever. And they're just holding on as best they possibly can. What items does EG need? They need... I think a Daedalus is the correct option for Jo, but after that I think he really needs to finish or get a new BKB, since at that point he'll be able to do so much damage and we'll be able to do that pretty much uninterrupted for the next 10 seconds or so. If worse comes to worse, might as well just go for a rapier, because why the heck not? You know, I think Bambo desperately needs a pipe. I still don't know why Bambo hasn't picked up a pipe. I still think a pipe at this stage in the game is going to be useful because, I mean, yeah, it's not going to negate the entirety of a Lich bounce, but, I mean, it gives you that extra bit of bounce insurance, and this Lich Chain Frost is doing quite a bit of damage. But maybe Aghanim Scepter will be the choice, since Anti-Mage did build to a very stats-heavy build. Aghanim Scepter will mean those ATH illusions do hurt quite a bit. Unfortunately, the bad news for Aghanim Scepter is that Enchantress, of course, as you saw in that top lane engagement an eternity ago, would just be able to steal those illusions for herself and maybe turn those illusions against the Darkseer. You know, Dendi reaching that point in the game where Puck is starting to run out of item slots. Does not have a gem, at least at this point. Not too sure what he'll go for, maybe something like a Dagon to synergize well with the Z-Blade, as Navi going to go in with Roshan. EG can't do anything about it since they're constantly forced to keep a watchful eye on Havost. And this will mean a free Aegis for the likes of Navi. Dendi seems like he is going to get in position to secure himself one of those two items. Phonic will likely pick up the other. Or maybe Havost will. Yeah, Havost might just sell the Vlads and get either the Aegis or the cheese. Well, Havost going to sell the Vlads, going to pick up a new item. Instead, going to finish a Butterfly, going to give him a nice amount of evasion. I thought he would have picked up an MKB, but I guess there is still a backtrack to go through. So Butterfly going to give him a bit of extra insurance, and Void does not have MKB, so in the end, I think Butterfly is still a really, really strong situation. Or, it's still a really, really smart item, nonetheless. You know, Aegis was secured by Dendi. I think Puppey took the cheese? Yeah, Puppey took the cheese, and that means he's just going to be able to put Impetus on autocast and just be able to spam those annoying spears into the faces of EG. Bambo holding on to a lot of gold. Has enough for back and the makings of an item. You know, Demon's farm has slowed down significantly. You can see it's just not been able to farm up whatsoever. And now you're playing this correctly, I think. I mean, at this point, I think they could potentially rush in since they have buyback and the Vos is capped out, and EG still have a lot of room to grow. So I think at this point, Navi should look for engagement. But they don't want to charge in too recklessly since EG still has a very scary lineup. They have Chronosphere, they have Vacuum, they have Wall, they have Sonic Wave, they have Overgrowth, they have Poison Nova. And now they're facing a Veil on top of that, so that Poison Nova will do even more damage. And Navi don't have a pipe themselves, interestingly enough. I guess both teams just say, fuck pipe, who needs pipe? But Navi's starting to pressure the middle lane. I mean, I don't imagine they're going to try to take down the middle barracks since the middle barracks were already taken. Or maybe they're going to go for the range barracks and then rotate towards the top lane. I'm not too sure, but it seems like they are charging to try to take the range barracks. And it was just going to go to work on those plague wards. And just look at the CS. Oh my god, Avost has almost triple the amount of CS of Void. Oh my god. Wow. Well, this is what happens when you go for a split pushing build right from the get-go. You're just able to get so much CS, it's not even funny. And Navi did rotate in, now they're going in for the bottom lane, which did push out naturally, and has no backdoor regeneration since the mid lane is pushing in all the while. So they are going to force out the glyph from EG. EG, I'm sure, did not want to use the glyph. And EG, this is their best option. They're going to have to smoke up and look for a backstab engagement, but I think Navi do scout out. They will hex up Demon. Jail going to get lifted up in the air. Jail does set up for back. He is going to dispel it. Going to go for the BKB. Going to isolate a Kuroki, but here comes the Chain Frost. Going to do a lot of damage towards the side of EG. Chain Frost is bouncing all over the place. Look at the amount of damage Chain Frost is doing as Beatus and Demon just going to brawl low. Anti-Age will secure the kill on Darkseid. In the end, Puck is going to respawn with the Aegis Immortal. Doesn't have a Dream Call. Should have a Hex online. Jail will get picked off. Jail is going to have to buy back if EG have any hopes of defending this. Jail, unfortunately for him, does not have buyback, and this looks to be the end of the game for EG. And this should be the end of the series. Radiant gonna lose their courier, adding insult to injury. And I mean, Chain Frost wasn't the difference, but I don't honestly know why EG didn't pick up a pipe. And Bambo was just hexed into oblivion. Bambo actually went for the refresher, trying to go all out to make the team fight as strong as possible, but in the end was not able to drop any walls at all. But EG's still fighting. Can they actually hold on? Well, Demon's going to die once again, and Vita is going to be the next one to be picked off. But actually, you will be able to escape to safety with the help of the Force Staff as well as the Teleport Scroll. And now you will be able to secure Mega Creeps. I think they can end the game at this stage. But they're likely going to back off and let the Mega Creeps push in. And there's not too much EG can do about it. EG have not yet GG'd out. It seems like they still want to fight this out. But the Mega Creeps are about to be secured for Navi, even though Trian and Void are respawning relatively soon. I guess EG, they just want to look for one team fight where they can get the double wall and Chronosphere online. And if they can do that, maybe they'll say, alright, you know, at least we were able to get that creative team fight online. But EG in great danger of losing the base to tier 4. It is going to be the next one to follow. Abyssal going down to Beatus as Anti-Age is starting to foul farm. Here comes the vacuum. Here comes the overgrowth. Bambo going to drop another wall, and the Illusion's going to start raining havoc. Chain Frost bouncing all over the place, but it's going to bounce to a lot of Illusions. Jail going to do a lot of damage. You can see that double wall just putting in work. We'll be able to completely kill off Navi in EG's own base. And Puppy will be the next one to die for sure, as I don't know how much this will mean for EG in the grand scale, in the grand scheme of things. Since EG, they're just facing so many waves of mech creeps at this stage, and I don't know if they have what it takes to push in. But Puppy gonna find himself hexed up, and EG are holding on by just a sliver, but technically they are still in the game, and they're gonna go for a desperation push mid. Unfortunately for them, I don't think a wall. Well, it looks like the wall might be able to cool down quickly enough for EG to get themselves back in position. And Puck, I think the majority of the heroes on side Navi do have buyback, and Anti-Mage didn't even die in the last fight. Anti-Mage actually picked up a Rapier, so if Anti-Mage dies, he's gonna lose the Rapier. Suddenly, Havost might just prove to be the undoing of his team. But he will force a teleport response by EG since EG does not have a glyph, and the creeps are now in the base. Keep in mind, the throne no longer has backdoor regeneration, and here comes Hex by the Darkseer. Doesn't have enough damage to bring down Havost. We'll pop the Iron Shell. Havost just going to turn his attention towards the Ancient Vacuum. We'll delay Havost for a little bit longer. As you can see, the teleports were canceled. Havost going to charge right back in. Bambo, the only one here aside from Fear. Fear does have the overgrowth, going to only hold Illusion's place. Havost is juking as best he possibly can. And where is Beatus? He's just going to try to buy as much time as possible. Havost's going to find himself hexed up. Havost's going to be able to kill off Fear, and we'll look to escape on that, recognizing, okay, this is just a little bit too ballsy, but Dendy and Rubik are now in position, and EG are fighting this engage in 3v5, and they don't have a double wall. Even though they do have the Chronosphere, I think this might be the end of EG in this game at long last.
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
Still, Jo is fighting as best he possibly can, but here comes Hex onto Jo. he dies, he does have buyback. He will immediately buy back. Dembo going to drop one wall to zone out the approach of the side of Navi, as Havo's going to take a lot of damage. He's hexed up inside a Chronosphere. He will drop the Rapier. JL going to immediately pick it up. What did he drop instead? He dropped the Battle Fury. Oh my god, EG suddenly given new life, but you can see Kuroki just says, why don't we hit the buildings, guys? I think that's a better option. Chronosphere will be used on the throne. Oh my god, what a clowny ending. But 80 kills in the end. A nice game by both teams, but in the end, EG just made one crucial mistake at the Roshan pit, and that cost him all the momentum in the world, and Amos just got way too farmed. So, hopefully you enjoy that game, everybody. Thanks for watching. A fitting end to an entertaining series. I'll be back with more recent series relatively soon, but thanks for watching. Sorry for the X's. Thank you, Val, for updating the game in between my cast. But I'll see y'all next time. Peace.